Hi everyone, this is a little impromptu bit of filming because, and that's the local train. My wife is meeting our children and our grandchildren for a little impromptu gathering at the local park, and I felt that it would be an ideal situation for me to do a little bit of painting. So I've come out with my stuff. I've got a lot of gear thinking it was going to be really, really cold, but where I'm at in Brockhill, it's very, very sheltered. And although where I came from off the marsh, the wind is extremely heavy and very, very cold, here it seems to be next to no wind at all. So I'm really, really pleased for that. So what I've got here is my fairly new kit. I've got a I don't know what you call it, Surai, I don't know. It's a fairly inexpensive carbon fiber tripod that I picked up at recommendation of a few other YouTubers out there. But it's very lightweight, very compact, and it sits in a little rucksack along with my tripod that the camera is presently sitting on. So yeah, I'm hopefully that this will do the job. It's all very, very new and I have no idea how it's going to perform. So everything I'm doing today is a little bit of a trial and error thing, because what I've also done, I have made a type of James Gurney style easel. So that's the easel that I've created with magnets in. I'll tell you more about that during the course of the painting, but I'm hoping that this will perform well. Now I'm traveling a lot lighter because of all of this, so I have no idea. Come on, got that round the wrong way, and that's not on as it should. Let's just do a little bit of maneuvering here. I was turning it the wrong way, that would help. Okay, so the view which I'll show you is over through here. I'm on the top of the hill at Brockhill Park, and I'm overlooking the Romney Marshes at the sort of the narrow end as it comes through the ranges and into Hythe. So it's the last part of what would be considered the Romney Marshes. But beyond that, we have some beautiful clouds, and we have a lovely light play across the English Channel, and you can just see all of that in the setup here. So I'm going to try and do that in Casein and see how we get on with that. Okay, so I was rushing around this morning. As I said, that this was quite an impromptu little trip, but what I did is I just put some fresh Casein paint out into some of it, as unfortunately spread within, but we'll use that up first as needed. And I've got a little water bottle somewhere in here which we can use. Everything is on magnets, and I've got a couple of clips to pin a panel to, and it's only a piece of artboard that I've got. So there's my water container. Very, very simple setup, and hopefully it will do the job as required. So as I said, this is based on the easel that James Gurney sort of made very famous, and a lot of people have made their own adaptations over time, and mine is no different. In fact, mine is done on black Medite laser MDF, so it's got a nice finish automatically. I've yet to actually varnish this one. I should have done that a long time ago, but hey ho, we live to regret things sometimes. Hopefully I won't need to. But yeah, so this is black 3mm, and I've doubled it up so you've got 6mm on each one, and it cuts a nice edge and shape, and also the ability to cut out the holes for the 10mm neodymium magnets that I put in. These are 10x3, so literally I was able to cut the holes with the laser exactly where I wanted them, glue the back to the front, which allowed me the slots just to put those in with some glue. So all in all, it's quite a compact, very simple little setup, and I can change this from Casein to watercolor to gouache, and even I suppose to a little oil if I really wanted to, but I have no need for that. I have tons of different setups for oil. All right, so let me just check. There will be some adaptations to this in time. I want to be able to have somewhere on here that I can put some paintbrushes without having to search for them. In the short term though, I'm going to choose just a few. I'm going to use a little dagger, and I'm going to put them in here, and hopefully they won't roll too far. That's Rosemary & Company. And I've got a couple of more rosemary flats. I do like flats when it comes to painting Casein. I don't know why. I prefer rounds for other things, but flats for Casein. So I've got several brushes here. Got a little round one as well. There we go. That's more than plenty, I think, for the day. And on top of that, I have got some paper towel, which is pretty much essential. So I might just clip that through there, so I can just use that. I don't want to lose any into the undergrowth, so I've got to be a little bit careful of that. So I'm going to just put that, some in my pocket and some on the side here, and that will be fine. Now as for what I'm painting on, well, I've got several boards. Now this is old board. I've had this for 35-40 years. This is old Schrollen hammer, 4R DICK. I don't know why I call it that, but there you go, there must be a reason. And I've got some pre-painted, which I can use that if I want to. I think I might well do. That sounds like a nice plan. This is just a simple gesso with a pigment in it, so this has got a little coloured sand colour. So I'm going to do that because it gives me a little more than just a sort of semi-square. The nice thing about this cheaper, I think it's about £100, 90 odd pounds, maybe a bit cheaper if you buy the carbon fibre tripod at the right time. But the nice thing about it is that it's got a little, what they call it, one of these clips, these carabiner type clips there, so you can actually hang your bag under and make this thing so sturdy. So I'm really looking forward to using it with that on there, and then let's just see what happens. Now I was a bit short for water, so I took one of the drinking waters. Never mind, it will do the job. I'm not going to fill too much up. I don't think I need to. Just enough in there to do the job, and I've got plenty left if I drop it or lose it or need to replenish. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to take a quick picture of the scene, and then that is something that you guys can see and work with as I move forward with this one. Okay, so let's get this one underway and see what we can do with it. So first and foremost, I'm just going to use a small round just to sketch in some of the idea with casein. Now casein is a natural milk protein product. It's been around since the crack of dawn pretty much, and used by civilizations through the history of man, and it still is in existence, and for some reason is largely forgotten but I have come to use it through not just Mr. James Gurney, but a good friend of mine, Andrew Burman, who uses it. And if you don't know Andrew or his channel, give it a looky. It's well worth. He does some great work down in Cornwall, and if you like that sort of thing, and it's well worth checking his channel out. All right, so I may as well, as I've got blue sitting here, this cobalt blue, I may as well use that just to sketch in the idea that I've got coming down through here. There's a hill. There are some fence line through here. I'm not going to put that in. I may put the fence, there is a bit of fence line here, but if I do that, then I do run the risk of putting a barricade across there, and people don't like that. Well, I say people don't like it. It's sort of visually a barrier to go through. So I'm just putting the horizon line, which is the sea, and then I've got this tree on this side, and I'm just going to put that in just as a suggestion. A little scratch here and a scratch there. Now I can feel the wind getting up. Now I think my tree, if anything, is probably a little bit too big. So what I want to do, actually it is too big, but I'm going to actually make it a little smaller. Coming down through here like that, and then a few of the branches and trunks. It's only a shrub, it's not a big tree at all. I think that will work. And then we have a coastline. Now I think I'm actually going to raise that up a little bit to there, not quite halfway through. I think that will be my new sea level. That allows me to bring this down a little bit and become the coastline of what is Hythe through here. And then we, as I say, we've got this little hill here. I could have reduced it in size, but I think I need to have evidence of what I'm standing on so that you know, you get the idea of what it is and where we are. Now, have I got enough to make this sky? And this is where I really feel that I would like to bring that down. I'm going to bring that down. It's all decision, decision. But this is the ideal thing with making a quick study on your paper with the paint that you intend to use. So that's what I'm doing. Just making a few adjustments and bring that down a little bit. And then I can come in here and just use some of this blue up. And actually what I may as well do, if I'm going to use the blue, let's put a little bit of sienna to that. Just pick some of that sienna up. That's too brown now, so we're going to make a bit more blue. Don't worry, we're going to use a lot more of this up so it works. But I may as well do this and come in here and put a very, very thin washy substance of paint across here, which will become my cloud. Now the cloud has got different degrees. I don't think it's going to drop any water on us. The forecast is very, very good for today, so I'm thinking that this is just one that's passing through. It's going from that way to that way as I'm facing due south at the moment, so it's an easterly that we have, and that's why it was quite cold this morning. Now here's an interesting little point. You see the way that cloud goes up, 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 up. It does or is doing that in real life. However, if I do that in this painting with this tree here, it's almost like I'm mimicking the shape of the tree in this little halo type affair around it, and that is not a pleasing thing to do. So it is better to wait for in a few moments that cloud will push through and will change the dynamic of the sky quite significantly. So I'm going to wait for that and change the drawing. However, I'm going to come through here now. I'm going to put in quite a dark mark for my sea, because there is a lot of shadow, cool shadow, bluish shadows through here. And then that will sort of translate into the foreground colours. So I'm going to come all the way through this, and once it's dry, and Casein dries very, very fast, very, very close to that of gouache, so it's not an issue. I'll put a little more, I'm going to put a little bit of, that's too much. I'm going to put a little bit of warm red in, so that makes a dirty purple. I'm going to tap a little bit of white into that. Nice working in an opaque medium because it's very, very light oil to many degrees, but at the same time you have the ability to keep work. Now I know as plein air painters in oil, most of us understand how to make a painting in one sitting outside, and you know, we've all done it for many years, and because of that we are adept at working wet in wet with our oils and coming up with the desired outcome. However, if you're just starting, Casein is really a nice way to work like an oil painter outside without all the worry of allowing things to dry, or things getting too wet and being unable to make more of the painting in the time that you have without getting messed up with wet mixes. This is drying pretty much as I'm speaking to you, so it does have a lot of advantages. Okay, so pretty much we have our painting set inside. I am thinking to put in the few scraggly little bushes on this side. Now they do go up out of the shot to a much higher situation, but I'm just going to suggest a few areas like this that will come down and maybe just break up some of that hill shape there, and still allowing this passage of light to illuminate and describe the channel for those watching or looking at this picture. So there we go. I think that is the general outline. I'm happy with that, and we're going to see where that takes us. All right, it is getting a bit windier, but hopefully it won't cause too many problems. Now I'm going to be using quite a bit of white, so let's put some white down on the surface, and I am going to do that. Now this little tin here, I've got to say, it's cheap and cheerful. It really is cheap and cheerful, but it's doing the job admirably well. And instead of it costing £10, £12 from one of the regular supplies, I've got to say I bought this from Temu and it was about £1.50, £2, nothing. They're so dirt cheap. They're not up to much, but for what I'm using it for and will use it for, it's absolutely perfectly good. So anyway, enough of that. I'm going to come in here with, what am I going to come in? A little bit of ochre, just to tint my white, and I'm going to come in here with what will be all that lovely sunshine. Look at that. I've got to try and remember that. I really want to try and remember that. I'm going to come in here with a bit more water, a little bit more colour, a little bit of sienna, and I want to come through here because with that light it's allowed the dullness, that dingy sky coming down through the back here to the top of the channel. Quite like that. Now I'm going to change things, but I think it's almost sort of the sun is creating this wonderful colour out there underneath the cloud, and I'm going to run a little bit of that through there as well. And I may have to add some more colour to that, maybe a bit more white, maybe something else further in, a little bit of ochre into that, because it is quite a fresh colour coming through there and describes that cloud nicely. All right, so with that done, I don't want to lose too much here, but I do want to make this more powerful, so I'm still waiting for that to come through. I think what I'm going to do is hedge my bets and just go straight through with that and ignore the shape of the cloud and re-establish the shape of that how I want it to look. But I'm also coming down here with a few of these sort of suggested rays of light emanating from the sun, which is somewhere over here. Now you would have thought that they would be there, so maybe the sun's higher in here and not as visible as I first thought it. I can add to these. This is just an initial look at the whole situation before we go on. It's getting a bit colder now, so I'm going to probably have to put my coat back on. I took it off when I arrived, but I think it's getting a little bit too chilly now to enjoy the situation. All right, I don't want to lose too much of that, and I don't want to overpower that lovely ochre colour that I started off with. So some more raw sienna, a little bit of yellow ochre, and just going to come back in here and to play around with that a little bit. Take it all the way off, because we can paint our darks over the top of this. And as an opaque, you normally work from dark to light. However, with Casein and to a point with gouache, you can go backwards and forwards with the same idea of lights and darks for yourself to create the look that you seek. And I think that that is really something very special. Now, I'm going to save that light through there. I do want to, however, bring a bit of a strong light source through here. Take that down. We can correct the underside of that later. Just trying to suggest those beautiful little rays of light emanating from this cloud. So I'm going to clean my brush, clean it on the dry towel, and I can see that where this cloud has pretty much gone through now. And I will take a quick shot just to show you what I'm talking about. You can see from that the sun is really high up here, and it's just about to come back out and give me a good show. So I'm going to use some of this blue color paint up now, and I'm going to mix some more into that and a little bit of red, not too heavy on the red, but I want that color to be a dirty purple. So we're going to use an awful lot more violet color, but it's a dirty violet. A little bit of white will come in very, very handy. Now the color has altered completely because of that sun coming out. That is way, way too much. I'm going to put some yellow ochre. Now, raw sienna. That raw sienna is killing off the purple, as it should do. You've got reds and blues, but the cadmium red that I use has got yellow in it, and that's fine, but it wasn't enough to turn the violet away from purity. So by adding some yellow ochre or some raw sienna, which is what I did, then you alter the grey within that mix and you make it much less chromatic, more muted as a colour, and that's really what I wanted to do. It's just about right, but as I always say, nothing is set in stone. This is a wonderful medium that you can alter your decision processes from start to finish. Just going to take that off of there and just give that a little colour. There we go. Just nip it again. Nothing here is sort of, you can see, nothing is finished, but you can see how quickly this dries because we've got that lovely hard edge, and it's, some people like that, you may not want it, but it's all to do with the medium that you're using. Catch it when it's wet and you can do an awful lot with it. Wait for it to dry, and then you're going to be pushing hard to control it in that regard, other than going over with yet another layer. Now, a little while ago there was a lovely buzzard flying through the area. I'm hoping, really hoping, it may put in another appearance before I end this, so I can just include him in this painting. That would be pretty awesome to put that buzzard in. Now I'm going to put a little chink in here. Now it's not a worry because of the shape of the tree. It's purely the tree will not sort of affect that look. Just going, oh, just lost my paper. I think that's probably better off in my hand or my pocket. There we go. All right, so yes, I need to make this maybe a little yellower. I'm going to put a little bit of ochre. I don't want to turn it green. I just want to change the characteristic of the grey to slightly warmer than the cooler. So it's going to come in here now and push that around a little bit. And it does get quite light and almost yellowish. I'm going to come in, I'm going to put a little bit of that colour there, a bit more water, not too much. I'm putting some of that in, a little bit more of that there. Too much yellow ochre to the blue will turn you into a green, but if you've got a bit of red into the mix, which I have, you should prevent too much green happening in favour of the grey that you seek. Very easy to forget some of these mixes can be halted by the addition of the third colour within the colour wheel that you're working in. So in other words, if you've got blue and yellow, you're going to make a green, but if you add a little bit of red into that, you end up making a grey, and you can control the overall look of greenness in the paint because you've made it a triad of colours in the primary section. Now this colour is going to get somewhat cooler, and I'm going to use some of this remnant over here to bring down the suggestion of a little bit more light. As these clouds go down towards the horizon, they get much smaller. Of course, they are much further away, but they're also getting quite warm as they lose power in terms of their overall colour, as it were. I'm going to remember what I need to say in a minute. I do apologise. Yes, I'm thinking of chroma. They are lacking chroma as they go down towards the horizon line. So I'm just making a few of them and creating a little bit more light, maybe a little bit more water into some of that, just to pale them out. I need them to be visible, but I need them also to be less impactive in terms of their chroma. That's what I'm trying to say. And when I put in some of the lights later on, hopefully they will translate as I would like them to. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to leave that for the moment. I may just come up here and put a little bit of that warm value into some of this sky cloud here, taking some out of that blue, making it less powerful, I think would work. I'm working very thin. I tend to do that anyway with most of my painting, oils included. I don't paint big impasto passages. I like to paint in a smooth, small, layered system, and that's what I'm doing. All right, so now I'm going to come across here with very much the same sort of look. I need to mix some more though. I'm going to come in with some sienna, and I'm going to turn it instantly green with that blue colour. That's fine, no problems with that. We have got a colour that is virginally on green, but if I put in just a little bit of red to that, now I've turned to a grey. That's perfect. Now here I can come in, I'm going to clean that brush. I don't want to keep infecting all my paint. Pick up some white in there, turn this down to maybe a pure grey. Now I'm going to see what that looks like on the sea as it comes down towards Hythe and the houses through there. I'm going to take all the way through here now, and we've got basically a sea colour that's casting the shadows from the wind is picking up quite a bit. Hopefully the sound is not too off-putting. Hopefully the microphone is holding on to not too much of the wind noise. Okay, take that through there. That's going to be pretty much the horizon line. And I'm going to bring this lovely colour down, maybe a bit lighter as it comes down. I'm working very thin, and the paint is not quite dry, so it's lifting off my passage. I've got to be a little patient with that, I think. So while I'm doing that, let's just come in with some of this green. Now this is a horrible green by anyone standards. It's phthalocyanine green, but I'm going to temper it. I'm going to temper it down first off foremost with some raw sienna. Now we turn it into a almost, not quite, a little bit of red in there will help that. The trouble with phthalo green, it is a super energetic, transparent, aggressive pigment, and left unchecked it will cause you no end of issues in your painting surface. So I'm going to use it very sparingly, but I never use it on its own. I always temper it with other color values to make sure that it is where I want it to be. So that's just going to let that dry off. While that's doing that, I'm going to have a quick coffee. I'll come back very, very shortly and we'll carry on. Let's just clean this brush out before I continue. Get a bit more towel. Never have enough of this. Although a good cotton rag is also very, very good as well. And of course you can carry on using that. So I was a little bit quick off the mark this morning and didn't have that ready. All right, so this is probably not quite dry enough yet to continue. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to make more of the sky color. Now I'm going to come in with some ochre this time and just stay with that. I think give myself a lovely glow in here. I need a slightly stiffer brush, I think, to do the job. So let's just clean that off. Put that to one side. Okay, I'm going to come in with one of Rosemary's 3/8, and it's a series 236. It's a synthetic. You can tell I haven't used this one. It's still got the a bit of gum on it. So there we go. Go and come back in here now. It's all moving nicely. That's better. I do like using synthetic brushes and flat brushes for this media. Now I am going to just gently put a bit more water to this mix. A little bit more colour, a little bit more yellow ochre. Give that lovely glow in the sky. Hopefully I can do this and keep it quite level. Ideally I should have maybe brought a flat edge with me. I didn't. Never mind. It will still be okay, I'm sure. Just don't want my horizon going uphill. Easily done. And but it's something to watch out for. I'm going to come through here now. I do wish I had something flat and straight that I could actually run this along. Use this board. This is another board, it won't matter, but at least I can put that on there and run myself pretty much a nice straight edge at the horizon through here. Well, the intention was good. It may not have worked too well, but we'll carry on with the idea. We're going to bring that up now away from that area, and we're just going to give that lovely glow to the scene. And I'm going to gently come around some of the shapes of the clouds that I've already put in. The whole of this scene is constantly moving through, and so what I saw 10 minutes ago when I started this, or 15 minutes ago when I started this painting, is completely altered now, and the little fissures and breaks in the cloud are ever changing. I don't want to get hung up on that. We can easily do that. We can fuss over everything too much, and by the time we've done that we end up with a big mess on our picture, and we don't really want to do that. I'm going to come up in here. I'm going to put a little bit more ochre into that mix just to try and blend some of these shapes together. Give it a bit of a glow. Maybe that little transparent layer over that cloud will help me. And let that come up into the cloud base through here. And we start to see the softer clouds that I put in earlier into that mix. Now this is causing lots of drying marks, which with the wind on it, I'm not surprised at all. And I'm going to use some of that colour into some of that grey now, just to mix the two together and bring some of that into this colour. So I'm changing that sky or that cloud colour again to allow me to suggest that warmth that's creeping into the setup, and that will allow me, when I get this part done, I thought that was the bird of prey, the buzzard, but it's not. It's some seagulls that are flying around. But yes, it's allowing me to build these shapes up very, very slowly and create the overall look that I'm seeking. and then I've got to bring some of the lighter values across the clouds to suggest those varied degrees of light beams emanating from behind the cloud. So this one being the closest one to me, like that. I'm going to come in here with maybe a little bit of rim lighting into there around that shape. We're going to increase that with some white and colour in a moment. I think that looks quite nice to give me a bit of a shape into the cloud overall, and it's central or just off centre, so I don't think it's going to cause me any issues. I'm going to bring that down through like that, just suggesting these little light values crossing other clouds that are further behind and in the distance. Just pockets of light suggested, and they will then transpose on the top of the sea and allow me the idea that we've got light on the channel. And that's what drew me to this scene, I've got to say. It wasn't so much that it was a cloudy day, windy day, or the trees in the foreground were silhouetted. They framed it, but it was that light from the clouds onto the sea that drew my attention to this little scene, and felt that it would be nice to share this one with you guys. Okay, little pockets of light. Little pockets of light, that's all this is. Bring a bit more here and just bring that down. Just dragging this, dry brushing it across the shapes, and that allows the appearance of those little light shafts. Now, not too much water or you will come unstuck. I'll bring a little bit of light up into there, a little bit more white in the paint, and a little bit more of the ochre, yellow ochre, to give that beautiful glow. I'll bring that into there and through here. Bring that down. Should come down. You start to lose it on the sea surface, but enough to show what I'm trying to do. Maybe a little more ochre into some of those initial forms coming across. That's better. Okay, don't want to overdo this, but it is the essential part of my painting, so I've got to make as much of it as I can. I'm going to come in here now with the first of those light shafts on the top of the sea. Very, very bright. Now, like all of these mediums, Casein and gouache alike, whatever colour you start with, or you think you've got it bright enough, rest assured it will dry darker. There is no way around it. It's just the nature of the beast. I'm going to come here, put a bit more of a light source right down, working back up towards the clouds, just to make that a little more of a glow at sea level, and hide some of the original line that I put in or suggested for the horizon line, and I sort of changed it, if you remember. So I'm just coming back in and to put another layer of paint on to hide some of that information. May need to do it again, but I don't think too much. So it's got a lovely glow to it now, and I've already noticed that actually where the sun is over on this side, these are starting to move in a different direction. At the moment they're still nicely on the top of the sea coming this way, so that's perfect. Just going to put in a little bit more light, just dry brushing it, glazing it in a sense across the surface, and then I'm going to bring a little bit more light up into some of this, just to enhance them. Okay, so I need to hurry up a little bit. I've just had a call to say that they've all finished what they were doing, but I've got to carry on here and get this finished. So There's a little streak of light running through the bay here, which I'm going to put in. And I've got to work a little faster with this, trying to keep my lines. They don't have to be straight because obviously the clouds are not straight, but I need to keep them as bright and effective as I can. I'm going to come in here with a bit of pure white, and then once that's dry I may come in and just enhance that white look with some other additional yellow of some sort, just to brighten up the scene. Okay, so that sort of suggests the light, and there are one or two more smaller pieces through here. I probably should be using a rigger for this, or a small brush. I haven't at the moment. I'm just going to pick up that little light through there, clean off my brush, and I've just noticed how that's constantly changing too. Of course it would do because the clouds are moving through, but here I just want to put in a strong light in there, coming down through to what is Hythe, and then the Hythe town, as it were, can be almost totally silhouetted. I can use some of this blue, come back in here with that, maybe put a little bit of that in, a little bit of red in. That's probably too much red, but we've got plenty of blue that's spilled over, so we've got plenty to do the job. I want to come in here now and suggest what is the sort of town and parts of Hythe in silhouette against the backdrop here. No particular building, nothing identifiable. I can see certain things that I do recognize, but I'm not worried about that. I am simply putting in that shape there. I'm going to add a bit more of the raw sienna to that mix now, and come in with maybe a slightly redder, so maybe that, and a little bit of burnt sienna to my mix, just to bring in a bit more color to what are trees and shrubs in this part of the hill. You can just see them popping up in different places against the backdrop here. So I'm just going to scratch those in, and that will be all I'm going to do, apart from a couple of light taps for the roof of some of the buildings later on. It is just a quick sketch, as I said earlier. And so, right, so let's come back in. We're going to mix up a cooler, warmer, a little bit of yellow ochre into that. I don't want to turn it green, so I'm going to tap in my red just to be my little control, as it were. And I'm going to come through here and change that, needs more white. I'm going to bring that in, pale that down a little bit more. That's not bad actually. I'm going to use that colour. It's significantly dark enough to really show my lights up. And I'll bring that through here. And if I get this right now, hopefully it will not lose too much of that lovely line as I go through here and suggest the finish of the horizon line. Just about held that in. It's always a worry. I'm going to lighten that up though. It does need much paler colour as we get up towards that horizon line. So I'm going to run the gauntlet one more time, probably even two more times. I'm just going to take that off. It does always throw you because you think you got the right value, and don't forget the colour that you put on here will darken. So just be careful and be aware. Okay, that gives me a nice light on the sea towards that horizon line. It's going to come up a little closer, don't get that hard dark edge, just lose that a bit. And that's probably as far as I'm going to take that. I think though my sky is dipping here, or my sea is a little lower, so I'm just going to bring that up ever so slightly. Some of that will be lost between bits of foliage and stuff that I decide to put in. A lot of shouting going on below me because obviously you've got the park below where I'm standing, so there are a lot of families, children, all having fun around the lake, and it is so nice for people. It's always been a great place to bring families and on the weekend and enjoy a little bit of nature without the worry of other things going on. It's just a nice place to bring the family. I used to bring my children up here a lot of times, and so now my grandchildren come up here. They don't mind Granddad doing a bit of painting. They have a lot of fun with Grandma or Nanny, so that's the way it is. Right, I think I need that to be lighter, so I'm going to use this colour and put some more white into that grey colour. I'm going to bring that down a little lighter through here as well, and that will just have a little bit of dark just passing through the centre of the scene, and I'm hoping that that will look convincing like that. Alright, so that is the sea. I'll leave it at that. I think I've got that lovely glow on the water, and I'm going to just put some more ochre in, a little bit more white, but I think this time I'm going to use a smaller brush. It's not quite a rigger, but it is a nice brush. It works very, very well. It is one of Rosemary's Series 315. It's a number 1, and yeah, it does a good job. So I'm just going to rest on my arm, just try and pick a little bit of that light out running through the bay. Pick a bit more out through here. Doesn't matter if you get a little thicker with it in places. In fact, it will just add to the light that you're trying to convey to the viewer. We're just trying to suggest all those beautiful pricks of light that are hitting the water from all the many bits between the clouds. I think we're pretty much good on that. The light has gone right off, so I'm pretty much guessing now everything that was there. I don't have the luxury of still being able to see it in the scene. Maybe the reference photo that you're looking at on this video right now will sort of show you what I'm trying to achieve. Alright, so I'm going to bring that light down here because it does come from the shoreline, and take that through here. I'm going to cut into a few of these shapes on the high beach, as it were, and take that light through there. A couple of tall ones, that's a bit of tree. I'm going to lose that top of that tree there. And just take that into there. And that suggests what we've got going on, and I'm going to put in a little bit of a cooler light here to represent a few sort of, I don't know, roofs and things that are down there in the distance. Now maybe just a tap or two with a bigger brush. We'll just put a few more suggestive marks in there. Just being roofs and little structures that we've got going on. Nothing too much, just enough to suggest it. Okay, so now let's quickly work in some of our tree because time is cracking on and I do have to get back to the family. So I'm just going to come in here now and sort of put in a quick suggestion of a few taps of branches, and just as an idea more than anything else. A little bit of brown, a little bit of that green that's left into the mix, and just going to come up here and be very suggestive. Not worried about absolute accuracy. I merely need to suggest trees and forms, and same through here. Going to put in a little sort of bit of here and a line or two there. I think I do have that rigger. I didn't bring a rosemary one, but I have an old cheap one that I showed earlier, so I think I might just use that one for the job. Find it again, there we go. Let's just put that down, wet this one up, come in with some of that dark and more of the raw umber, and to the raw umber I'm going to put in a little bit of phthalo blue. It's a bit too strong, a bit of black will help that too. That will give me much darker values in here. It's probably too much black. Let's come in with a bit of warmth from, there we go, some lovely sienna, and we're going to put some ultramarine into that. That gives us a nice dark, and I use this colour very much in when it comes to my oil painting. It's a great opportunity to use some darks in the form of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, which makes a great dark. Okay, so I'm going to come in, dry brush, take a lot of the paint out, and just come here and just suggest a few wispy marks that could be the myriad of little branches that we see. Don't want to overdo it, just want to suggest it, like so. Maybe a little bit more, a little darker, because they are quite heavily silhouetted, and just create the illusion as a silhouette against the sky. We are not painting individual branches, not at this fine detail. We are merely suggesting a few overall marks and shapes that create the tree. There's another one coming in here, which I'm going to put a scratchy mark in through there, like that. And we can bring some lights in if we feel the need to. I'm going to get rid of some of that dark. It's a little wrong, it's a little too much, but I'm just going to come back in with that little rigger, see if we can't bring in a bit more warmth, a little bit of yellow, raw sienna, sorry, into that mix, just to bring some of those colours in. Just think of the tree and the shape that you've got, the overall form of the branches, but don't obsess over it. It is what it is, and it is merely a sketch. And if you go home and you like what you've done and you want to do a much better image, i.e. something that you're going to put onto a bigger panel, bigger piece, and it's merely not a sort of sketch, then that's the time to start refining. That's the time with your either drawn sketches or photographs, whatever it is you've used to capture the moment along with this, you can enhance those and then bring them all to bear when it comes to doing a studio painting based on this. So this is just a very, very quick idea of the tree. If I had more time, I probably would do even more work on this to suggest it, but I don't have that. I'm just going to literally scratch this in. Okay, hopefully that describes the trees or the bushes or the shrubs in here. And we have got maybe some cooler ones. I'm going to use some of this blue violet colour with the dirty colour grunge. I'm going to bring that in through here. Bring a little bit more there, a bit more suggestive. Just pop in a few sort of marks that you can see through to help that situation out a little bit more. It does get quite piled. You start seeing a lot more now. This is where I can see more lights into some of this structure through the back here. These trees that are going down the hillside. Let's get rid of some of that. Change what I'm looking at. Put a few more sky holes in there. Just break up the scene a little bit more. There we go. I think we can call that done in that regard. I'm going to put in a little suggestion of a tree down there. Maybe another one in there. Who knows? They are there, I can see them. Let's come back up here and we're going to put in a few sort of branches of shrubs and bushes that are immediately to one side. I just wanted to keep that area nice and clear. Bring that in. Light railway going again. That's actually the RH&DR, and that is the smallest public railway in the world, and it was built in the early 1920s, and famous people like King George and the Queen, Laurel and Hardy, and so many other people have used that and been celebrities and important people that have availed themselves of the RH&DR over the many years. And it was also seconded as troops, I think, in the war, to move troops around, because out the back there I think the Americans had a big air base on the marsh, so I think it was used for that too. Anyway, enough of the history lesson. Let's get this one finished, put to bed. And a little bit more fluid to make these branches are sort of very, very small and spindly. I just wanted to suggest a little bit there. There are some posts there. I'm going to suggest them going down the field like so. You get an idea then there is a field and the fence. Alright, I think that doesn't need much more than that. I think that tree though, I love it, but I think it needs to sort of be a little bit more dominant, a little bit darker, and maybe sort of travel up out of the picture plane. I think that would help at no end. Could be wrong, I could regret that, but I think it's certainly big enough in the scene to dominate the picture in that fashion. And any sort of extra work that I do to this at home or in a future painting based on this picture, I could refine all that idea and work it. But I think that it just requires, or is calling out for, a little bit more presence and not looking like a little bit of a spiky lollipop on a stick. And that's what it was, I think. So I'm going to bring up maybe a stronger suggestion of limbs through here. Make a little bit more of it. And let's bring that one down through there. Give a bit more structure to it, I think. Anyway, as trees goes, it's not the best, but it will at least suggest to you that it's a tree or a shrub or something. And bring a little bit out this way with it too. There we go. So the last part of this then, and in fact before I go into that, I'm just going to put in, I didn't see my buzzard, but I am going to put in some birds through there. Nice silhouette of 3 birds flying through the scene. That gives it a little bit of life. And the last thing then is to bring in some lovely greenish colours. Now the sun has disappeared probably for the better part of the day now, I think. Put a bit of cobalt blue into my lemon yellow. See where that ends up. It's pretty acidic. Let's come in with some more cobalt. And maybe even a little bit of phthalo green, which we will then have to hold down again. I just want to bring in a little bit more of that. I think that works. Probably a little too green, so I'm going to cool that down. I'm going to put some yellow ochre into that, knock it down, and even more. Let's come in with some sienna. Okay, that's probably holding it back a little bit better. Taking that through there and all the way down here. Okay, now I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to come in with some ochre and a bit of white, just to put a simple glaze, because there's a lot of old grasses. It's sort of a sheep field that has been munched but left to sort of get a little bit old grass on top of fresh grass coming through, and so I think that yeah, it needs a bit more yellow into that light though. Let's come in some more white into that. And I'm not looking at anything, I'm just taps here and there, little suggestions of light on the surface as this comes down. As I say, it is a much fresher green once the sun comes out, but that is not out at the moment. A little bit more yellow ochre into that mix. Got a very decidedly yellow dead grassy look onto a lot of this, so probably the lighter I do this, the better it will be, and allowing any little positive dark bits of green to pop through as opposed to the other way around. Well, it will do the job, I think. I hope it will anyway. So I'm going to put in a few small taps of that light in one or two places, and a very overall warm colour in the form of some more ochre into some of those forms through there. Hopefully that will finish this off, and as a study that's probably taken, I don't know, an hour or so to do, I'm going to live with that. I'm happy to have been able to get out, to be fair. I don't get many times to get out and do plein airs these days. I'm very, very busy with the gallery and my online school, which I'm just going to brazenly pump out there to you guys. I have two schools on school.com. One is Paul App's Art School, and it's completely free to be part of. And there is my Wildlife Art School, which is not just wildlife art. It's everything to do with wildlife, landscape, different media, different techniques. So that's well worth getting involved with, and that is only $15 a month. So you get a lot for your money, and you get a live stream each and every Sunday, and you get long form videos, full length videos, and everything else. So check out my schools, both of them. If you don't want to pay for the one, then consider joining the free one, and you never know, you realize that you're missing out on something and probably want to join the paid one later on. I'm just going to put a little signature initial on there. That tells everyone it's mine. And that's it, I'm going to call it a day. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you got something from it. I enjoy painting in Casein these days. It really is a lovely medium and well worth buying a few from Rixon's in America. You can buy it in the UK too, and I'm probably in Europe as well. Check it out, have a go with it, and see how you get on. And let me know in the comments below if you've used it before. Tell me your experiences, and if you're thinking of using it, then let me know. That'll be awesome. Until that time, I'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget the schools, and if you've enjoyed this video and you don't want to do any of those other things, then consider buying me a coffee. That helps out a lot, and everything that everybody buys me a coffee, when they do that, all that money goes into making more videos for people. So enjoy. Catch you all very soon. Bye bye for now.